Hi guys, in this video we're going to be taking a look at the new Captain with a jump pack, and we're going to be painting this up in the Dark Angels scheme. I'm also going to be showing you the different options that you can do to this, and also how we're going to paint it in sub-assemblies so that it makes your painting process so much easier. Now you can probably tell from the colour of the armour in this video, it's not painted up in your traditional Dark Angels colour scheme. Now for me, yeah, it can look good, but the highlights that Games Workshop use on theirs are a little bit too green, and if you're not careful it can look a little bit too salamandery. Now I know I have done a video previously on the Dark Angels, but in this one I'm going to go into a little bit more detail, and I've got some new different colours that for me achieves a much better result. Now, as you can tell from this, the sub-assemblies, the backpack that just comes off, it does slot into place really nice, and I have magnetised a couple of different weapon options. It's just drilling inside and putting some little magnets in it. Now, here are some different head options. The one without a helmet, I didn't end up painting that one, I just didn't think it fitted, but we've got a couple of different helmets, one from the Azrael box set that was a helmet that I never used, and obviously the one that comes in the box. Now with these, it makes life so much easier if you just get like a drill inside it and drill inside the miniature itself, and just put something like a paperclip, super glue one of them in so that you can easily slot them in and out. Now, after our black primer, I give the entire miniature a spray of Model Air Black by Vallejo. Then for the main colour scheme itself, we're going to use a 50-50 mix of Emerald by AK and the Black by Vallejo. Now the reason I've gone for this colour scheme, which is, I know I mentioned this in a previous video, because they're Dark Angels. For me, I didn't like the more saturated green with this. It's more of a bluey green. It's got that more ethereal, like mystical look colour to it in my eyes. And for me, this just suits the Dark Angels that little bit more, keeping in line with that green scheme. Now when I'm putting this through the airbrush, I'm not giving it an entire coat, like I'm not filling all the areas of the actual miniature, all its armour itself. I do really like the artwork that they did on the Lionel Johnson model, and for me that just sums up, I really love that scheme where it's sort of black with a hint of green in it, but I sort of wanted to push it slightly with this one, so I am applying it in a sort of zenithal motion, as though it's sort of where the light hits, that's where you sort of see the green tones in the armour, and it's just literally apply it from a few different angles from above. There's no specific angles or like the light's hitting it in a certain way at this point. We're just sort of going in for a zenithal prime and leaving some of that black in the shadow areas. Now the next stage, painting the power armor, is a stage that I absolutely love when it comes to miniature painting, like when I'm just painting in my own time and hobby, because it's got a really powerful effect, and at first you're going to look at it and think, oh my god, this looks really shabby, but what we do after is going to pull everything together. So now I've got Sons of Horus green, watered down maybe 2 parts water to 1 part paint, and I'm wiping most of that excess paint off on either my thumb or a towel, and I'm literally just going in and sketching highlights. So I'm just working my way around. I've got like the shoulder blade here because it's better to see this, and I'm just literally dotting and scratching, and it's just a really rough way of being able to do it, so don't worry about getting everything massively neat. Now this achieves 2 things. One, it tells us where our highlight placement can be. Number 2, you also get some like little edge highlights and stuff like that in there as well. And number 3, it starts to build up a bit of texture, scratches and like battle worn on the armour itself. So I'm just literally working my way around, and I might do a couple of different layers of this just to build it up. As you can see here on top of its shoulder, I'm just dotting it on and just really being rough with it. Honestly, do not worry at this point of how like messy and far you're going to push it, because we are going to clean all this up in the later stages, and it's just a case of working your way all the way around your miniature and just building this up and building this up. And the reason we've watered it down is so we can build this up, and again it's going to create all those different layers of like weathering and texture onto the power armor itself. Now the reason obviously I am using watered down paint is because it goes on pretty translucent, and again we can build it up in those different layers, and as you can see I'm barely touching the miniature. Sometimes I might add a little bit more pressure, and again it's all about adjusting that pressure of, you know, like how hard you're pressing on with your brush. If you want some thinner ones, don't press on as much. If you want it to go on a little bit harder. And I tend to switch in because it is a sketchy style. Sometimes I might do pitting like dots, and sometimes I might actually do some lines in all different directions. And as you can see here on the actual like shield, which is coming up to his chest, it just builds up a lot of different rough texture. And if this were like real armor, you would get this sort of like scratching and stuff in the paintwork itself. But working his way around the miniature, and I sort of hold it under a lamp just to see where the light falls, and I'm just catching each edge. And it's sort of when you're not edge highlight, say if you're going to edge highlight some points, don't do it as a straight line like Games Workshop sometimes teach. Break that line up, like put some little scratches here, some little scratches there, miss little sections, dot it in, and again it's just going to overall add to that texture. Now here comes a stage where we can start to really pull it all together and blend in to that armour. Now using the colours that we previously used, which is the Emerald, I'm going to use a 70-40 mix this time, so 70% of the green and 40% of the black. And I have watered this down quite a lot. I know it might not look like it on video, but I have thinned this quite a lot into the airbrush. And what I'm doing is just working my way around all those highlight placements that I've already done, and just very gently spray over all that work what we've just done with the highlights. Now this is going to do a number of different things. One, it's going to obviously smooth out all those little scratches and stuff that we've done. And number two, because we've thinned it quite a lot and it's translucent, it's going to slightly show some of those scratches and highlights that we've already done previously to this, creating like another layer of texture. But the main thing that it's going to do is pull everything together and highlight those sections, and just it's not going to look as messy, if that makes sense. It's just going to pull everything together as one. So you just want to work your way all the way around the miniature onto those sections that you've done, and it doesn't matter if you've missed a little bit and you can highlight a little bit more. It really doesn't matter at this point. And if you do go too far, you can just get your previous colour, add a little bit more black and push it back into those shadows. Now you might have seen in the previous section I'd already painted the cape, so we'll get into that now. For this I'm literally just using AK black red. And I apply this in a couple of different layers, and we'll get into that in a minute with layering and how we do it layering up. But the colours that we use specifically get into the highlights is AK black red, AK deep red, and then Mephiston red by Citadel, and then finally just a very small amount of Evil Sun Scarlet as a final highlight. Now what I'm doing is I'm watering these paints down quite a lot, and in each section, you know, it's like the old two thin coats method, but we're just building it up. And every time that I'm doing it, I'm applying this so rough. I'm just literally slapping this on, and I'm not just doing one thin layer of like the black. I might build this up in multiple coats, and each time that I'm going up in these coats, I'm progressively leaving some of like the previous layers in the shadow. So each layer that we're going up, we're going to be pulling those highlights in tighter and tighter. And as we've just done, as we get to like our final stages, at this stage what I'm doing now, it doesn't really matter. We're just building up that volume onto the cape itself. But like the sketchy method that we've previously used on the armour, we're going to do the exact same thing with the cape. And what that does is, as you start to build up those layers, you can start to see each little mark and each little sketch. Every little thing has a different layer that's built up on that fabric. And again, it just gives the illusion of the fabric. Rather than it just being painted all in one colour, it's actually now getting some surface variation onto your miniature itself. And so that when you're holding the miniature and you're looking around it, you know, everything sorts of, it's not just all one smooth coat of everything. Everything's got its own little unique texture, and like the closer you look, the more you'll see, sort of thing. So from a distance it looks absolutely amazing, and when you get closer it looks even better, which in my eyes is fantastic, because sometimes when you pick paint up it can look good from far away, and the closer you get to it you start to see these imperfections. But in this sense the imperfections are sort of going to play into our hand. Now for the gold sections I use Pro Acryl Bronze. Even though it says bronze, it's like a really nice deep gold colour, and later on after our wash phase I highlight that with Runlord Brass. Now after we've base coated everything else, all the metallic areas were base coated in Pro Acryl Silver. We're going to be using the enamel wash Fuel Stains by MIG. Now again, I'm not 100% sure if this is still available. Some stores might have it. To be fair, it's not much different to like AK dark brown wash and MIG brown wash and all that stuff. So any sort of dark brown wash will suffice at this stage. And again, I'm just coating the entire miniature in this, and then again we're going to go into, like we always do, get like a cotton bud and a clean bowl of mineral spirits, and just wick away all that excess, leaving it all in the recess areas. Now finally, we're going to jump back to the power armor, as that was the main focus for this video. All I've got now is a 50-50 mix of Sebrite green and the Sons of Horus green, again watered down, and we're just going to go back in to some of the main areas like we did in the sketchy stage, and we're just going to go in there and edge highlight and, you know, put some little more definitive scratches and stuff inside our miniature. Again, this just ties and pulls everything together and just makes everything pop, because once we've applied enamel wash, it does sort of dull everything down a little bit and darken everything down. So guys, that has been my tutorial on the Dark Angels scheme. This is a scheme that I do love. In the future, I'm going to be doing another video on the Dark Angels, but more in line with the new Lionel Johnson model, where it's primarily black with just the slightest tint of like a desaturated green. So if you don't want to miss out on that, please make sure you are a subscriber to this channel, and I hope again you have enjoyed this video. And guys, I can't thank everybody enough for all the support. If you do want to support this channel further, you can become a member, and with that you'll get access to exclusive videos throughout the year. You'll instantly get access to my special wet effects when you're painting like monsters and stuff like that, on how to make it look more like saliva and all that sort of good stuff. Also you'll get early access to my videos, so if you want to join and support this channel, then head over to become a member. Again, I am going to be launching Patreon very soon. Now this is going to be for people that enjoy these tutorials, enjoy my work, and want to learn some more hints, tips and techniques. And each video that I do, so like say if like I did this video, you'll get this video in a longer format where I go even into more detail. You can see like the entire painting process. So if that's something that interests you, let me know in the comment sections below, because that will be launching very soon. I'm really excited for it. I'm prepping everything, getting everything ready so that there's a good amount of videos once it launches. So that's it guys, thanks again from me, and I will catch you in my next video.